Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to today's Ask Me session. Happy to have you here with me. You're very welcome. My name is Ajulo Christian. I'm a data scientist and assistant program coordinator at Hamoye. Welcome to this is the fourth Ask Me session for HDSC Summer 2022 cohort. And this should be the last before the end of stage A. So you're very, very welcome. All right. Without any further ado, we'll kick off. Josiah, good afternoon. You're welcome. Okay. We've had like three previous ones and we've answered some technical questions or questions relating to the internship. Everyone you have, you can just ask your questions. So, all right, if you have a question, you can simply unmute yourself and ask. Or if you're in a noisy place, you can just put it on the chat and I'll read it out for you. If you have any question, you can just go ahead and ask your questions. I guess by now, most of us are already done with the stage with our quizzes and submitted the tag along code. So, and also we've already filled the track selection form. So by now, I guess we're done with that because the track selection form sorry, can't hear me. Can you hear me now? I'm getting this from your end. Can you hear me clearly now? Okay. I said, okay, wonderful. Okay. I said for stage B, to answer your question, you said if you're going to be added to different groups. I said you'll be separated into different groups for data science, data engineering, data storytelling, and the DevOps. So you'll be split into different groups. Yes. Then for this stage B, for data science and data engineering track, you'll be doing the same course. Yeah. So I hope I've answered your question. In the Slack channel, you'll be separated into different groups, so you get your informations and all that. So you'll be separated into your various tracks. And also, it's only those that filled the track selection form that will be moved on to stage B. So that was why I said it was very important for you to fill the form. So, Mr. Josiah, you're asking a question. Yeah, the only question you asked was if you're going to be added into different groups. I just answered that now. You will be split into different groups of your various tracks. The track you selected, you'll be split into your various groups. So, okay, your question is saying, okay, you noticed, okay, let me read this out. It said, I noticed I answered most of the questions correctly, but still had a low score. Am I to save quizzes as I progress? Okay. You notice you answered them correctly, and to understand they were correct, but you are saying you had a low score. Okay, the way the system is set up, if you actually answer the right question, that's the right answers to the question, you will surely get your mark. So I don't know if you confirm if you really clicked or ticked the answer to the question. And also, saving of the quiz as you progress is just a way to help save the answers you've already clicked on in case you have network issues or whatever. But it doesn't stop the time from counting down. So that's the saving of the quiz is just for you to save your answers, but the time will still run down. So this your issue of saying you had a low score, it depends on if you check what you answered is correct or not, because the platform, the system already said that if you click the right answer, you surely get your mark. So that is that. Saving on the quiz doesn't stop the time from running down. It's only just save the answers you've already ticked. So that's it. Can you just say the can all of you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, yes, we can.
Okay, okay. So if you can't hear me, check probably it's from your end or you're having network issues. Okay, Josiah, you're saying your system went off while I asked you the question. So meaning the score you had was for the questions you've already answered. So we've already said this to save in terms of you're having network issues or anything, you can always save your progress, but it doesn't stop the time for counting down. So I've answered that before. Okay, Victoria has a question. She's saying, okay, I've answered that question. Okay, so I filled the form some minutes after the stipulated time due to some issues, and please what's my fate? What form are you talking about, Victoria? If you can just unmute yourself, if you're not in a noisy place. What form are you talking about? Is it the track selection
Okay.
form or okay? Go on.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Okay, sir. Please, actually, it's a track form. I didn't see that. Like, I didn't see it. Like, I get to know about the form very late, and when I saw it, it was really some minutes past 12 this early this morning, and I just filled the form, so I don't know what's my fate. Will I still be
Okay, you
added to
said
the track?
okay. When you fill the form, you couldn't submit, right?
No,
since it has already passed the time.
I submitted and they sent me a reply that it has been acknowledged or something like that. But I don't know.
Okay. Since you got a message that it has been acknowledged that you could submit,
Yes, sir.
you are right on track. We'll confirm from our end if you got it, if your submission reflected. But since the form has already closed, you won't be recorded if it has already passed the time. But since you got a confirmation message that your submission reflected, so we'll check from our end to see if it already came. And you know the form, the time it's on UTC, not GMT. So probably that is why you also got a reply that we got your selections.
Okay, even it
So
was supposed to end by 11:59, but I think I submitted
exactly.
by 12. I think some minutes past 12 or so. Early this morning.
But you got the message, right? So but we'll check from our
Yeah.
end if it's reflected or not. But normally, since I already passed the time, it might not reflect. So I'm not assuring of anything now. We'll confirm from our end
Oh,
if it did.
Jesus.
So you should not have any issues. If actually it's reflected. But what we kept on saying was that we shared this information last for almost 5 or 6 days now. So it's
So
best you always
seriously,
check your Slack channel.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I did not see. Like, I don't know. I can't really tell.
You didn't see it on time or you didn't check
Yeah, I
your
didn't.
mail.
I think I screw. I swear, but I
And
didn't even take my time to read through. I think I skipped it or so, and I don't know. Oh God.
on
Okay, so
time. And we've always dropped reminders for you to fill it. So, and we said it's only those that fill it that will be moving to the next stage. So, but from
Ah,
what you said, and you got a reply after filling it. So that's that.
okay, so maybe I'll screenshot something. Okay, thank you.
Okay, in case of any issues, you can always send us a message to our email. Okay. So any other question relating to form submission or technical questions about the course so far or track selection? You can ask your question. You can unmute yourself or signify by using the hand emoji. So I'll just unmute you and ask a question. Or if you're in a noisy place, as usual, you can ask in the chat. I'll read it out and we'll reply. This session, as usual, is going to last for an hour. But if before the 1 hour elapsed, we don't have any further questions, we can just end it before time. But we'll entertain questions for an hour. So I'm guessing most of us don't have any issues navigating the course, because I saw some person saying they didn't see where to click on the quiz to take the test. We've already passed information about this in the Slack channel. We've even pinned the message on the announcement channel on Slack and also on the Ask a Meeting channel how to take the quiz and how to go through the course. Someone else was also saying, I forgot the person's name, that she couldn't access the course. So if you're having issues like that, you just know that you have to refresh your browser or change the browser you're using. So there's no technical issues about that. If it's from your end, try to refresh your browser. You'll be good to go. So any question, ask in the chat or unmute yourself. Or suggestions, what you notice and all that, you can just ask or say it. We'll note it down for you. Like I said, this will be last Ask Me session before stage B commences. So the next one will be on Friday. It always runs from Monday to Friday, Said I'm not audible. Can you hear me clearly? Can everybody hear me clearly? Can anybody hear me clearly? Chinyo is saying I'm not audible.
Yes, me, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, if you can't hear me clearly, it should be from your end. Probably you're having slight network issues. Welcome, Mr. David.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have any questions or suggestions?
No, not really. I don't know.
Okay, I noticed.
The stage B. We're just waiting for stage B. Are we expecting it by Wednesday?
Yeah, when it will commence, as stated in the mail and the announcement channel, that's when it will commence. Whatever track you selected, we'll just put you in different tracks.
Okay. For now, no question.
Okay. Notice you are always in this Ask Me session, so that's nice. I've noticed that. Okay, any other question from anybody? Suggestions? What you've noticed? Technical question, you're having issues running the codes or how to upload your notebook to GitHub, copy the link and all that, you can ask. So you can unmute yourself if you have suggestions. Okay. The tracks you selected, you'll be split into different groups of your respective tracks, Slack channel, and also you'll be invited to the course for that particular stage of your track. So that's, I've answered that question before. So if you have that question, that's the answer to that. You'll be invited.
Hello, what happened?
Sorry, I had technical issues.
I saw that I became host.
Yeah, corrected that. Corrected that. Just had slight network issues on my end. So,
Okay.
does anybody have any other question? Just go for the few seconds. Did anybody have any question? We have quite a number of us on this call. You can indicate, unmute yourself or post it in chat. I'll read it out. And this session, as usual, is supposed to last for an hour. But if in a situation we don't have any further questions, we can just end it and call it a day. So I'm guessing we are all clear on what to do. We've selected our tracks, submitted the form, and also those that have not submitted the quiz and your tag along codes as you fill the assessment form, you can just do so before it's ends. So I'm guessing no further questions. If you're in a noisy place, you can put it in the chat. Okay, someone is asking a question. When is the next track starting? Are you talking about, Mr. Fine, are you talking about stage C? Because this next, if it's stage B, you're talking about, okay, stage B, we've passed that information previously, starting on Wednesday, August. Starting on Wednesday. This information has already been passed in the Slack channel. Stage A ends tomorrow. Stage C starts on Wednesday. So I hope I've answered your question, Mr. Ifine. You can signify by putting in the chat or just, okay, wonderful. Right. Whatever information whatsoever, you always get it on your mail and also on the Slack channel. That's the announcement channel. And also, if you have any question relating to the quiz or the assessment form or tag along code, before you ask, there are lots of questions that have been previously answered on the channel, be it on the announcement channel or the Ask Samuel team channel. So, and there are lots of messages that have already been pinned down. So just access it in the Slack channel. And if it hasn't been answered yet, you can ask your question on Slack and answer your question. So those that are having probably have a question that we've answered numerous times before. So that's what I'm talking about. So you can ask the questions in the chat if you're in a noisy place, or just omit yourself to make it interactive so everyone can hear what you have to say. Suggestions, blockers, questions, whatsoever you can ask.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Said.
I don't know if there is any protocol for asking questions here. Maybe we have to raise our hand so that there won't be chorus here and there. But,
yeah, you can go on. You can go on.
Okay, my question is very simple. First of all, I would like to appreciate you for this wonderful opportunity given to us. So far, so good. I have been finding it so interesting because I don't know anything about data science before, and then so far so good. I've been appreciating my learning. But my question is, the Ask Me session like this, does it count as part of what's it called? As part of our assessment? Like, is there any penalty for not attending the Ask Me session? That's my first question. And the second question is that the tag along code, will it be marked separately and be added to our score, or it won't be marked? Because I noticed while I was doing my quiz, so maybe while I was rushing because of time and stuff like that, I made some silly mistake in my in my quiz, and then the thing submitted automatically before I even finished the thing. So, and then if such person now write a good tag along code and show how he got his answer, would that one be marked, and the mark will be added to what such person have in their quizzes before, or the tag along doesn't have any mark? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Said. Thanks for the compliments you said before. And we're happy that you're learning and moving on and having a good progress. So your first question, you said if this Ask Me session. No, this Ask Me session is not compulsory. It doesn't count to your overall score or grading. It's just like a way of answering technical questions or any questions you're having. So it doesn't count to your score or grade. It's not compulsory. The important and compulsory webinars would always communicate it to you, so you know that those ones are graded. You're taking attendance for that. So for this, attendance are not taken. It's just like, it's not compulsory, just for you to get a further understanding for the questions you might have. Then to the other question you have, your tag along code is part of the deliverables we said previously, which is your quiz the tag along codes, which are the answers to some questions on the quiz, because you're writing codes on some questions. Then webinars. So for example, in a particular stage, we had a compulsory webinar that was supposed to take attendance. It was part of that stage. So that will be added to your grade for that stage. So the tag along code is part of it and surely would be marked. Of course, it's like a way of saying, okay, this was what you selected, and to show us this was how you got your answer. So your question said, you said you submitted the system or whatever probably had issues with the network or whatsoever, submitted before you finish your answer. So I want to throw this question to you. How would you complete your code if you don't have access to the questions? Or if I didn't get that question right, are you saying you've already answered everything, but probably you were going through the questions to see if you had any errors, then you notice the system submitted? Or you are saying you haven't answered those questions, but later on you did? Okay, just clarify.
No, the quiz was for a period of an hour.
Exactly.
And then as I'm doing it, so I'm writing my tag along code along the line. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So, but at some point, I realized that, like, what I'm trying to say is that I didn't get the question right at first. It takes me a lot of time to process my head and then to just get the question. So that time was not so sufficient for me to finish everything.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. So the thing just submitted on its own. I don't know if you get. So in fact, where I stopped, say, I don't even know how was going to have to get the rest of the question. But the question was, after I submitted, I think the thing marked automatically. And it show, if I click on my score, it will show me the question and the answer, the option I choose.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So though we can't know which one is right, which one we miss wrong, which one did we get right, which one did we get wrong. But it just showed the answer we click and the one that we didn't select it at all. So it was that one that I used to complete my tag along code. After it has submitted, it has marked it already. So I used that one. So I just checked the question. The question is there, and then it marked the one I have done, the one that I didn't do. So he didn't select anything there. So I just read the question from that place and then write my tag along code and get my answer. So it was just so painful that, oh, so this thing is even simple like this. So but the time logged me out before I can reason through my head. So I'm just asking if the tag along code will be marked, that maybe that will complement for the time that was not sufficient while we were writing the quiz.
Okay, now I understand the question. Okay, the tag along code will only be marked for the answers you provided on the quiz. If, for example, like the quiz is probably 20 questions and you answered like 15 or 14. So, for example, the ones you answered with the tag along code, that's the one you answered in your quiz, then you wrote the code for it, probably there are 4 before you submitted the quiz. I'm talking about before you submitted the quiz, not this one you said you saw the questions and later wrote your code. No, we only mark what you answered in the quiz reflecting in your tag along code, not what you've already done after submitting the quiz. So if, for example, you answered 50 questions in your quiz, then you now completed your tag along code, then submitted the assessment form, we'll only mark what you submitted in the quiz, not what didn't reflect in the quiz. So do you understand my answer now?
Exactly. I get it.
So this one you're saying you saw it after when you were done. So it will only mark what's reflected in your quiz. So I hope you understand.
But at least it's still part of the learning process, even though I didn't get the mark. In as much as I get the skill. So I think that's cool for me.
Yeah, that's a nice notion. You it's like part of the learning process, yeah. But in terms of the grade you're talking about, that one would be accepted. But what I always advise is that even if you're done with the quiz, since you still have the data set, you can do your further study with that data set, do your further. The answer to your question of saying if it will be graded, it will only be graded for the quiz. But everything is part of the learning process. You can also learn from that. So have I answered your question?
Yes, you have. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So if you have a question, you can just signify by using the hand emoji, then you unmute yourself. I'll tell you to unmute. If you're in a noisy place, you can just ask your questions in the chat and I'll answer for you. And also, like we've always been saying, we don't condone any form of malpractice or you sharing your code or answers to your code to an intern that hasn't done the quiz before. There's always a way for us to know. We'll always find that. So the same system is already placed for us to know whatever crook business you're trying to play. So it's advisable you don't do that, but we'll find that there are grave consequences for that action. So we don't condone any form of malpractice or you sharing of code to anybody. We'll always find that. So let me just state that out now. So if you have a question, just signify by using the hand emoji or place it in chats. We'll answer for you. We have less than 25 minutes for this session. Okay. Mr. Adisa, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
It's been an amazing session being part of this internship, but I would like to seek a further clarification. When I took my stage A test, I did not know, or let me say, I did not see that we're supposed to have access to a particular data set for taking the test. Right, and while taking the test, I said I was supposed to answer like questions 11 to 20 based on that, but because the test was going on, I tried to check and all. I could not access it until the time ran out. So just had to choose anything rather than leaving it blank. I think that led me to scoring very low, which was below what's it called, the minimum score, I think 65%. However, I later got the data set. I did the analysis based on those questions and I've submitted now. So I'm asking for stage B now. I know probably something similar might be required of us for us to do an assessment based on certain data sets. So how can I assess it in order to be able to use it during the, let's say, assessment test or quiz? So that's my question.
Okay, Mr. Adisa. Like we've already said, I've answered this question in Slack channel before, probably you didn't see it. Before you take a quiz or anything, there are lots of text or resources there for you to check. Like for this stage A, there's a quiz, there's a text that says further instructions for the graded quiz. So you are supposed to view that text material first of all. That's where you get the information on how to answer the questions in the quiz. It's there in the platform. So probably you skipped that or you didn't see that because I saw like 2 or 3 persons complaining about this. Before you click on taking the quiz, the instructions are there. There's a text material there that says further instructions to answer the quiz. So the instruction was there on where you get your data sets before you click on take this test. So I'm sorry, probably you didn't notice that. That's why you had your issues. And also your question that says you later then did your further analysis and submitted the tag along. So like what I answered the question to the first person that asked about this, I said would only grade that's use your tag along code with what is reflecting on your quiz. So if, for example, you answer the particular question on your quiz that requires code, we'll check your tag along code. If what we're saying is more than what you answer in your quiz, we'll only mark, it will only be graded for what you answered in the quiz. So I don't know if I've answered your question. So moving forward to other stages, the instructions are always on the platform before you take the quiz. If there's a data set for you to use, what you'll be doing for a particular set or session of the quiz. So the informations are always on the platform. So it's advisable you go through everything clearly before you click on take this test, even if the information is at the top or the bottom. So you just go through the platform carefully and see that you've checked all the test materials or all the instructions or requirements before you take your test. So I hope I've answered that questions clearly. You can just signify by saying, okay, you've gotten it. So any other question, signify by using the hand emoji or just unmute yourself to answer.
Hi.
All right, Mr. Kazim, you're welcome.
Okay. So I guess I missed it, but what's the pass mark for the stage A quiz?
Okay. Let me explain this. Let me explain this well. Okay. In Harmony, for each particular stage, yeah, for you
Yes.
to get a certificate for that stage, that's for that course, you have to have
Okay.
60% and above. That
Okay.
course. So you have for you to have a certificate for that course. Then for the AMOE fellow certificate at the end of the internship, you have to have a cumulative grade of 60%, which is your quiz, your tag along code, your attendance to webinars, the premier projects, the capstone projects. So all these deliverables, if you meet everything, and at the end of the day, your grade amounts to 60% and higher. That's when you have your Harmony Fellow certificate. But for each course, for you to have a separate certificate for that course, you must have 60% and above. If you score less than that, for that course, you won't have a separate certificate for that course. But you can still increase your chances of having 60% cumulative score at the end of the internship if you do well in other stages. So I hope you understand what I just said, Mr. Kazim.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any other question? Unmute yourself, signify by using the hand emoji, or you can ask on the chat. I'll read it out and answer. Anything relating to the quiz, technical questions you're having, running the codes or whatever. And if you're not done with your quiz and submitting of the tag along, I advise you to do it now, because it won't always end well. If you are rushing towards the deadline, you might run into issues by saying you have technical issues with network or whatever. So it's best you do it on time. You can do it now. If you've not done it after this session, just go and face the quiz, submit your code, then you'll be well on your way. And for those that haven't done the quiz, and I'm guessing you've already filled the track selection form because it has already closed. And in the information pass, only those that filled the track selection form will be moved on to the next stage. So if you didn't do that, I'm sorry, the form has already closed. So that's for that. So any other question? Put it on the chat. Signify by using the hand emoji. I'll unmute you or you unmute yourself. Then you ask. We have less than 15 minutes more for this session. So do it to ask your questions. Blockers or suggestions, if you have suggestions, you can ask. You can just state it. We welcome suggestions, any of blockers, questions whatsoever. Would answer them for you. Okay, any other person has a question? Okay, for those just joining, I would explain what a question somebody asked previously. I already explained. I will explain it again for those just joining. About you submitting your tag along codes that you run your code after you submitted your quiz, then probably you completed it in your tag along code. Normally, your tag along code will be graded, but it will be only graded for what you answered in your quiz. So if, for example, your quiz, you didn't answer the full complete 20 questions, that's the questions relating to where you need to run codes. So the code will only be graded for what you selected in your quiz. So if, for example, you didn't even answer in your quiz, you didn't answer any question relating to codes, but at the end of the day, you submitted a Jupyter notebook that's on your GitHub, showing answers as to those codes, it won't be graded for that. So let me just say that it will only be graded for what we saw on the quiz, not what you submitted after, or you didn't answer a particular question, then you submitted your tag along code. So we'll still find that. So let me just clarify that for people that are having issues with that, or you want to know about that question. So that's for that. Any other questions, blockers, suggestions? Signify raising your hand, unmuting yourself, put it in the chat, we'll answer. Okay, Mr. Joshua, you can ask a question.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much. So,
Good afternoon. Welcome.
okay, thank you. My question is as regards to the tag-along codes. I think you said that they will only be graded if the questions we answered are relating to the ones on the quiz here. So my question is, like, for example, when I was going through the test, when I read the question, I go and try to do it on the Jupyter notebook to get the answers. So it's possible that I may run a particular cell block more than once or try another code just to get to the answer. So it's possible to have many cells that are more than the questions. So does that mean that probably what I answered, maybe the cell that gave me the answer is not the same with the cell that didn't give me the answer, then I'm having multiple cells for a particular question? Will that affect how it's being graded? I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yes, I understand the question. Okay. Normally, since we know you are answering the quiz and you're running your code, so it's not calculated by the amount of cell blocks you have on your Jupyter notebook. So for the answers to a particular question, we'll know the answer. So we'd already look for the ones you've answered on the quiz. I don't know if you understand me, relating to what you have in your notebook. So for example, since you are running your test and trials to see if you have the answer to a particular quiz, you run into multiple cell blocks. So there's a way we always find that. So that's not an issue, because for example, the questions are like, that's the one that requires codes are probably 10 or 11. Then your cell blocks on your Jupyter notebook are close to 30 or 50. So it doesn't matter. It will only be graded for what you answered on the quiz. Then we search for the answers on your notebook. That's the cell that gave you that particular answer. And of course, we surely know if the ones you didn't answer on your quiz and it's now reflecting on your tag along code, we surely know that, okay, that was done probably after the quiz. So I don't know if I've answered the question. Do you understand me?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So any other question, technical, related to the quiz or the course or next stage or whatsoever, suggestions, signify by using the hand emoji or unmute yourself, or also put it on the chat. I'll read it out and we'll answer, because we have less than 12 minutes for this session. So just ask your questions, your suggestions, we'll answer. And for those just joining, if you still have issues or probably want to ask that you didn't fill the track selection form, if any to be done, like we said in the information past, only the interns that filled this track selection form would be moved on to the next stage. So if, for example, you didn't fill this form before the end of the form for the form to be closed, so I'm just saying I've answered the question now. It will only be moved to the next stage if you fill this track selection form. If you didn't, that's the answer to your question. So if that's it, so so any other question, you can put it in chat if you're in a noisy place or answer, or you can just unmute yourself. Or if you have suggestions, you don't like the way this public stage is structured, you can give a suggestion, welcome suggestions and all that. Okay, there's a question in the chat from Ahmed saying the answers in quiz and that of notebook must go in handy, or attempted answers. Either one is wrong, could be looked into. Are you asking if the answers in quiz and that of the notebook must go in hand? Of course, if what you clicked on, that's the answer you provided on your quiz, then your notebook is reflecting a different code or a different answer to what you did on the quiz. Obviously, it's different. So, okay, let me just explain it like this. For example, in your quiz to a particular question, you selected an answer that was wrong. Then probably after when you were done with the quiz, then you did your analysis, you write in your notebook, then you found out that this was the right answer. Would only be graded for what you provided on the quiz. I don't know if you understand me clearly. So if what you selected on the quiz was wrong, then you later did your notebook and got the right one, it will surely know that that wasn't answered during the process of answering the quiz. You get me? So if everything you did was during the process of answering the quiz, if you got a wrong answer writing your code and you selected the wrong answer, of which you already missed that. So there's no way you would have a right code and you selected the wrong option in the quiz. So if you had the right code and you selected the right option, you get the answer. Then peradventure, you wrote a particular code and you thought that that was the answer, then you selected it in the quiz, which that answer was wrong. It is still wrong. So it will really only be graded for the right answers. So for example, when you were writing the quiz, your codes were complete, your notebook was complete, and you selected the option in the quiz. At the end of the day, you found out it was still wrong. So that's still wrong. I don't know if you get me clearly, Mr. Ahmed. Have I answered your question? You can signify by putting in the chat or just, okay, lovely. I've answered the question. So let me just reiterate on that. If you ran a code, it's possible you ran your code and you saw the option in the quiz. Then to your knowledge, you thought that that was right, but at the end of the day, it was the wrong answer. Of course, you already got that wrong. So it does not matter if, it doesn't matter if you just wrote your code, you saw that, okay, you wrote code. No, we only be graded for the right code, not just you running code and you got an option that you saw that you thought was the answer. No, so you'll only be graded for the right codes and your right answers to the quiz. So I just hope I've answered that questions completely. So we have less than 10 minutes for today's session. You can ask a question by unmuting yourself or asking it in the chat. I read it, then I'll answer. So if you haven't done the quiz, I advise you do that now. Time is running out. Excuse me. And waiting till the deadline. Let me just say this. So you should not come and complain that you submitted before the deadline, then the platform had issues because you were rushing and all that. So to avoid those, it's best you do that now before the end of this stage. So any questions, suggestions, blockers? Okay, I have a question in the chat. Let me read it out. Regarding the quiz correction, can we email you for the correction? Of course, you can always email us if you're having any questions relating to the quiz. You can send an email if you have a particular question would answer, but I'm not assuring of if we give you the correct answers, that's give you the answers to the quiz. But if you're having any questions relating to the quiz, you can send us a mail, we'll relate it to you. So there are many reasons why, if somebody has a question, let me just answer this now. There are many reasons why we don't provide answers during the process of this particular stage, because some interns have not answered the question. So If we provide answers, it's like more or less cheating. So somebody might get the answers to that and start grading. So that's why we don't provide the answers after when you've even submitted. So, but if you're having any blockers or question relating to a question in the quiz, you can always send us an email. We'll give you a breakdown or an explanation to that particular question. So during the course of the stage, answers are not provided because some interns have not done that. That is clear, Mr. Ahmed. You don't ask that question. Do you understand my answer? You can just post it in chat or just, okay, very clear. Thank you very much. All right, any other question? Unmute yourself, make it more interactive, or if you're noisy, please put it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer your question. We have less than, okay, 5 minutes to go for this session. You can ask your question now, or if you don't have a question now, you can always ask your question on the Slack channel. We'll answer, or interns that have done or found a solution to that particular question. We encourage you answering in particular your fellow interns, like a form of collaboration. So if you have an answer to that, or you have a solution to that, the correct solution, you can as well reply that person. We'll always check to see if it's the right answer. So whatever question you have, you can just ask. An intern can also answer. That's a form of collaboration. We're encouraging that. Like the aim of this is like why we made it on Slack. This is like a professional setting on Slack. So it's part of the process, not just you learning the codes or what data science is. It's part of you learning how you'll be in a real life situation. So we encourage collaboration. We'll also check if the answer provided was the right answer. So, okay. There's a question in the chat. Okay, Mr. Joshua is giving a suggestion. That's nice. He's saying, I will encourage my fellow interns to read mails, notification, and other documents sent across. I have noticed of our questions are already answered in the information provided prior. Before you ask a question, always go through emails, the documents sent to you, the links to articles, even on the Slack channel. Always go through the previous messages. There are some messages that have been pinned down. You don't have to search for a message that is pinned. Go to the options in Slack in that particular channel, you see it. So there are lots of questions that have already been answered before this time. So as Mr. Monday, you have a question, you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Regarding feedback on the quizzes that will take along, I'm wondering, I did get your explanation why you don't provide feedback while we are still in a given stage. But I believe in the quality of information and the time that information is delivered. If, for one, I go through the quiz and I have a doubt in mind, which if clarified could open door and make me progress speedily in my learning journey. If that response is not given, it acts as a stumbling block, not only for that particular task, which is challenging, but blocking me equally from accessing future things. If we are able to take the quiz at different stages, different times within the learning span, I think what we hold here is academic integrity. If you guys, on the other hand, do not believe that addressing an issue faced by a fellow at a given time would rather facilitate and not go to leak questions, you are doubting our potentials, having or helping each other maintain the actual essence of the evaluation by not sharing the questions after taking the quiz. what I'm trying to say is, I believe in feedback and timely feedback. Is there something Hamoye can do about providing that feedback to individuals when needed? I would point out something which I pointed out in the Slack channel and no one responded to. There is a question on regarding the appearance of text. I couldn't match out that during the evaluation, and maybe an answer provided by a mentor would help me identify through the graphics what an italic number looks like from that question from another. But till now, that is still cloudy in my mind, and I don't see it as a positive contribution to my study journey. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mundi, to answer your two questions. Okay, the first one, you said why we don't provide answers after you submitted a quiz. What I said was that when you are done with your quiz for that particular stage, if you notice, the platform will only show you what the options you selected and all that. There's a way you can also get, I said that you can send an email to Hamoye regarding a question you have regarding to the quiz. We would not have to go on from there individually. That's, you can send your message to us on mail via our email platform. I know you already know our mail. So we didn't say we don't provide answers, but getting the answers during when the stage is still on, that's after you are done with your quiz, it's not part of our policy to give you the answer. But if you have a particular questions, you can always send us an email and we'll sort it out for you. Even if it's still during that stage, I don't know if you get my point. Personally, we can answer your question or give you a nudge or give you a guide towards the answer. Then to your other question about the way the text size is arranged. So is it that I answered this particular question? There's a way you can just, for you to view it, if you are saying it's too small, you can just zoom into your browser. Just zoom into your browser, you get the text. And about the one you were saying about italics, or let me see, okay, there's a person in the chat during the test, it doesn't appear at all, so we couldn't identify it. What particular, you're talking about a question during the quiz or the text materials? Can you clarify on that?
Yeah, it's a question during the quiz. It's the same thing that Mr. Mundi is talking about. There's a particular question that talks about something being bold and italic. You couldn't see the difference, whether something is bold or not. Just see, after you choose an option, when the quiz are submitted, you now come and seeing it bold later on, not when you are taking the quiz.
Okay. Thank you very much for that suggestion. We'll look into that. I'll look into that. Thank you for that suggestion. Look into that. You said it's bold and italic, so you couldn't identify which was bold or which was italic. Okay, we'll look into that from our end if that is the case. Sorry about that if you couldn't view it, but I'm talking about the text material. Somebody complained before that it was it's too small for the person to see, so you can increase this size of your browser from 100% to whatever percent you can see it clearly. So, but with that relating to the quiz question, we'll look into that. Thank you for that suggestion.
Yes, and again, concerning the text material, the code, maybe the pictures there, if they are not clear, I'm just saying for the instance, you can right click on the image and select open in a new tab. If you open in a new tab, and it will be very, very clear there. The pictures that are those code snippets there. You can open in a new tab, it'll be very bold for you to see. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. David, for that. That's also another option for you to see it clearly. So you can just click it and open in a new tab or increase your browser size. So that's also an option. Thank you very much for that, Mr. David. So we've run out of time for today's session. Thank you everyone for here. With that, if you don't have any other question, we'll have to call it a day. Thank you for your suggestions. We'll look into that concerning those questions. Then also there's something I want to say. The text materials, those screenshots you are seeing, those codes are also in that PDF document provided called code snippets. So if by mention you said you can't see it by increasing your browser or opening a new tab, you can just download that code snippets. The codes are there. Those are the PDF document provided for you. It contains the study material codes, not just those ones written like paragraphs like text. Those code snippets contains the codes in the text material. So you can also download that and view, and you can use that to do your practice. So I don't know if I've answered that correctly. So thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope I've been able to answer your various questions and the suggestions you made. We'll look into that. Thank you very much once again. We'll do this again on Friday. To reiterate, we'll have it every Mondays and Fridays. If, for example, we won't be having it, we'll always communicate it to you. And also coming up we'll be having a webinar, so we'll tell you more about that. So the compulsory webinars will be taking attendance as we're passing the info to your mail or also on the announcement channel. We'll tell you which is compulsory for you to understand, for you to attend. Sorry. So always do well to go to the Slack channel, the announcements, and also check the pinned messages. The answers have already been provided to the questions you might be having. Even if you didn't see it, you can also ask and we'll refer you to that answer. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for having this wonderful session. See you again next time. Have a lovely day and happy new month. Yeah. Have a lovely day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Happy new month to you.